I started a new big project recently, and I'm excited about it, so I'm going to tell you guys all about it today. This is Project Invasion, which is a sci-fi story about a planet fighting back an invasion, an aimless alien hunter, and a lone abduction survivor. But first things first, how did I even come up with the idea? This story actually had its origins in the end of 2018, when my friend and I created an Instagram account where we would each take turns drawing a scene for a comic of sorts. Though honestly, calling it a comic feels like an insult to all of the actual comic artists out there. It never really went anywhere, but it did lead to me creating a character called Nova, who was there at the start of a new universe that my friend and I called OSHA. Of course, this was before we found out about the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Anyway, that universe, and especially that pathetic attempt at a comic, was pretty much going nowhere. I don't know where my friend wanted that universe to go, but I imagined it having sci-fi vibes, and that's pretty much all it had going for it. Several years later, around 2023 or so, I had a really vivid dream about fighting a bunch of aliens with my friend, coincidentally the same friend that I created that comic with, and this spawned a bunch of ideas about new characters that would fit perfectly into the Occupational Safety and Health Administration sci-fi universe that I dreamed up in 2018 and 2019. For a while, I just had a bunch of notes and a lot of vibes, but it didn't feel like I had enough for a fully fleshed out story. The plot just felt like it was missing something major, but I couldn't figure out what it was, so I shelved it and decided to let the ideas marinate for a while longer. Flash forward to late 2025, and suddenly it hit me. I got a new idea for another character that could definitely fit into this world if I tweaked some things, and conveniently for me, that character came with a very detailed backstory and conflict that would definitely add a lot to the plot. So I had a bunch of ideas for the vibes of a world and characters. I also had some plot ideas, but they felt kind of unconnected. I grabbed a notebook and started brainstorming. I made character sheets for each character and filled in all of the information I knew about each of them, and I did the same with locations. In terms of plot, I wrote down literally every single idea I had and started trying to connect everything. It took a while, but I was having so much fun with it, and that motivated me to keep going. I made an elevator pitch, a synopsis, and a mood board during this stage as well. Once I had all my plot ideas down, I started to put events into an outline. I'm not super strict about outlines, like if I end up deviating from it, that's totally fine. I just love having outlines for my stories because I like having an idea of where I'm going. If I just have a completely blank page and I tell myself it's time to write something, I end up feeling really overwhelmed, and then I end up not writing much of anything at all. But if I have an idea of what I want to happen, even if it's just a few bullet points, then it feels a lot more manageable for me and gives me something to focus on. If I realize that I need to tweak something or I have a better idea than what I had originally envisioned, that's totally fine. I'll just update the outline. I watched a few YouTube videos on story structure and loosely followed the Save the Cat Writes a Novel method when I made my outline. Act 1 and Act 2 are pretty well detailed, but my bullet points for the chapters to make up Act 3 are super vague, so hopefully I'll have some more ideas when I get to actually drafting that part. With my outline finally done, it was time to really get to work. Obviously, I had to change the name of the universe because I don't want it to get confused with the US government administration. I thought about the story itself and decided to call it Project Invasion. At this point in time, I'm imagining this as a novel, but there is always a chance that could change in the future. I've contributed a lot of words to a lot of writing projects over the years, but I've never properly drafted a full novel before, so it's been a really fun journey so far. My priority for this first draft is to just tell myself the story and make it exist, and worry about everything else later. This means I'm not showing the first draft to anyone. It only exists for me while I work on nailing down the characters, the world, and the plot. I'm also not letting myself do any editing. I'm just trying to get words down and tell the story. It doesn't matter if it's terrible, and I know this first draft will be an absolute mess. I'm just trying to make it exist. I'll likely have to do a full rewrite in the second draft, but hey, that's what multiple drafts are for. Doing it this way has taken a lot of the pressure off, and I've found that I've actually been having a lot of fun writing this way. Thinking about other people reading my writing can sometimes make me feel stressed, but when I know that no one other than me will ever see this, it's made it a lot easier to get words down. One thing I absolutely cannot do is deadlines. There are already so many deadlines in life, especially at work, and they make me feel completely paralyzed and stress me out so much that I usually end up doing nothing at all when I have a deadline looming over me. That's why my YouTube upload schedule is so inconsistent. So I purposefully didn't give myself a deadline for finishing this first draft. I do want to be working on it consistently, but I'm not pressuring myself to finish it by a certain date. Most of my drafting for this project has been done in the evening and at night. I'm definitely a night owl. I focus best when it's quiet and dark, and I'm also the most creative at night, so I've been trying to work with that and do most of my writing then. I've started using this website called TrackBear, which allows you to track your word count progress and gives you interesting graphs to look at. Again, I don't have a deadline for this, and I don't even really have a specific word count goal for this either. I'm just aiming to work on it consistently until I feel like I've told the story in full. Using TrackBear has been interesting though, because it's showing actual data for how much I've written, which is cool to look at. I especially like the graph because I'm a very visual person. So, that's been my writing process for this story so far. Figuring out the outline and the order of events was definitely a challenge, and there's still so many world-building details that I don't know yet and have to figure out. That being said, I've been having a ton of fun working on this first draft, and just truly enjoying the process. I know I'm going to have so much to fix when it comes to the second draft. I mean, fingers crossed that this story even gets to that stage, but for now, I'm not letting myself worry about that. I'm just focusing on making the story exist in some form, and the rest can come later. As of right now, my word count for this draft is sitting at 16,044 words, and I'm looking forward to continuing this draft and making a lot more progress on it. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm still a novice writer, and this project is still in the pretty early stages, so I know it's going to take a ton of work before it ever even becomes readable. I'm really excited about working on my skills and improving as I keep writing and learning. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I sincerely appreciate you being here. See you hopefully soon in another video. Variable time, same place. Bye!